This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved. And yes, we are here. Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome to this week's thrilling episode. I hope it is going to be thrilling. Chugwago always told me off for saying thrilling episode, if I remember rightly. He always used to say, don't beef it up or something. Can I just say, he'll probably hear this, one of my patrons actually messaged me on Patreon to say, where's the next episode? Why is the next episode not up yet? You know, so some people actually sort of like hang on every word that you guys say. How about that, eh? You are bringing me in the big bucks, you. So yeah, hello and welcome back. We started an adventure last week, which was a new start for everyone on this adventure, and we had some really interesting dynamic approaching and being prepared for. But before I give you a brief synopsis of what has happened, I'm going to allow the players an opportunity to say who they are and who they will be playing tonight. Bartleby, we always start off with you, and then you can pass the mic to whoever you wish.
Well, I am Mr. Pickles, and I play Bartleby Fumus, which is our group's theist. He serves Amriel, who is the light moon goddess, in a world where there are two moons and two divine beings around those moons. Bartleby is mostly the group's helper. He's very good with people. He's good with helping other people be as good as they can be. He's got a lot of prayers that he uses to heal people or remove fatigue from them. He can work miracles through his goddess Amriel, such as curing maladies, even dismissing magic, laying spirits to rest and protecting from spirits. Otherwise, Bartleby plays a rather humble role in the town of Lindowe. He's works among the poor to try and help uplift any ill effects of poverty. He's our group's knowledgeable person about history of Lindowe, monsters of Lindowe, and that's about Bartleby. He's our shining light. And I'll pass it on to our other light, Captain Kangaroo.
Hey everybody, I'm Captain Kangaroo. Today I'm playing Cyrus. He was introduced last session for the first time, and this will be his second, session existence. He's definitely the coolest person of the entire group, for sure. He is a sorcerer of the Order of the Phoenix, so something new that I don't think the group has dealt with. I think we have theists. They had, I think the last person on this was the Order of the Kraken. So
Correct.
This is something new. This guy's a little bit more fiery with his personality. He's more of a fighter than just someone who just sits back and casts from away from danger. I'm still trying to play around with his personality a bit, trying to figure out, what his interests are, what his, vices are. So I think last time we kind of played around with possible alcoholism and whatnot. So we'll see where I go with that. But I'm looking forward and hopefully not being the sole cause for a total party kill this session.
Fantastic. Who would you like to pass it on to?
I will pass on to Medevac.
Why, thank you, sir. I'm Medivac and I play Hazra Khan. He is a nomad from the northern steppes of Odess. He is the group's tracker, forager, hunter. He's a man of stealth in the wilderness and a complete klutz in a city. He can track a beast for miles, but when it comes to following a little girl around a corridor or anything, he'll lose them every time. So yes, he's a bit pants that way. He hates being in the cities. He's born to be outside, but he does go to the Hairy Hobgoblin, which is a good haunt for him and his friends, and he tolerates that because he knows he gets on well the innkeeper there, and he provides meats and treats to eat there. Which gives them a good discount and a little bit of gossip, I think, every now and again.
That's probably why he likes going there.
True.
Because he's a business partner.
Yeah. We're on the know. He's also a member of the Brotherhood, who is a secretive group that keeps track of and records all activities in the biomes and areas of the world. How nature is changing, how people affect that, how creatures affect things, and trying to maintain a delicate balance as well, or watching that balance. So he likes to go there and report what he finds when he's out helping other people. And that's what he likes to do. He likes to help other people, and he does that with this lovely group of people he's with. So with that, I shall pass on to Longshank CPG.
Thank you very much, Manipack. Hi guys, I'm Longshank CPG, and tonight, as always, I'm playing Hengist. And if you don't know who Hengist is,
Then
where have
shame
you
on
been
you.
for the last 3 years? And I'll leave it at that.
You're not saying it. So I thought you were going to say.
I've had 3 years of intros for Hengist.
I thought you were going to
think of
say
anything
about
new,
your
so
new
it's
Squire school that I'm really looking forward to.
That's under development.
It's under investigation.
No. Just because you weren't invited, Hazra.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's all starting. The chinks in the armour.
I had a note in last week's session that I keep that just says Felix ! Anybody know why I had Felix !
Oh, I think that's Hengist Bard, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's my bard.
How did you know?
It's Hengist's bard, I remembered now. Yeah. So let me give you a brief synopsis of last week's session. The characters were summoned to the guild hall, which they have been employed before by the guild merchants of Lindowe, when there was a plot to kill a guild mistress, and it turned out all right for the party, but actually gave them a very nasty enemy, i.e. Sniffer, who is the head of the Thieves Guild in Lindowe. Anyway, they got summoned to the guild house, where they encountered a very interesting dynamic. There were 3 groups of people sat in a room: the guild merchants themselves, the crafters, the stonemasons, the woodcutters in an opposite table, and then far at the back, a group of what appeared to be mercenaries or guards. And it came to the party's attention, and what they've been employed to do is that the guild master, the guild merchant, and the constructors have joined forces to build a new settlement at the Lonesome Bridge, which is the only bridge that crosses the Midson, which flows from Eubin Falls up in the north right the way down to Lindowe. They've tried to set up this settlement twice, but each time they have woken the next morning to find that their construction work or anything that they've done beforehand has been bashed, or broken down or demolished or whatever. And they've come to the conclusion that it's one of the groups. They are not too sure which of the groups. However, The guild masters, the guild merchants, sorry, are blaming the crafters. The crafters are blaming the guild masters, merchants, and the poor mercenaries are there in the middle. Because they've been hired to do this job, have failed, but they've been signed for a contract, so they have to stay there. Anyway, last time the group did some interrogation, if I remember correctly, and interrogated each sort of like group and found out various information. And we left the last session with them going off and preparing themselves to actually make the journey along with the groups to the site once again, and hopefully, since they've been employed, that nothing bad will happen. And of course, if nothing bad happens, then that would not make a very good adventure. So I asked the party at the end of last week to decide what they were going to take, and I completely forgotten that the party actually owned an oxen and a cart, if I remember correctly. And I think
no, they don't. Hasra owns a
oh
oxen.
yeah. Do you know? I realised what I was getting confused about. It was when you were over the opposite side of the continent, and you hired one off an old woman.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, that was what. But I remember now that when you were aiding Annalyn, the alchemist,
Sniffing.
we're good old sniffing. Yeah, you bought an oxen. I think it has a name, which Brutus, that's it, and a wagon. So this lives at Hasra's cottage out in a mysterious place that nobody knows where it is, apart from.
It's like, it's like Fantasy Island.
Yeah, the plane. Yeah, is that right?
Yes. The oxen and cart.
Yeah. So Hasra had some nasty people attack him in his cottage, so he's relocated and actually rolled to make sure that nobody would actually find him. Anyway, so you got Brutus and a wagon, and there were some other things that you would like to buy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So let's just run through that to start off with. Let's just go. Well, anybody can start off. What is it? Hasra, you start off because you've got the oxen and the wagons. So most of the things will be coming into you for this. Yeah, go for it.
So 2 lots of rope, 3 meter length rope. So 2 of those.
Okay.
Rations for 2 weeks. Water, again, that would be just waterskins, 2 of those. I wanted to put 10 traps, a 5-person tent, a reasonable quality, a caravan, and a fondue set.
Yeah. Oh, good old fondue. Okay, then. So
the tent, I don't want it as a tent. My primary thing is to use it as like a hide, to cover, lay down and have it over the top as like a camouflage.
Got you. Okay, then. So you'll spend some time in Lindowe collecting those items. What about the rest of you? What else? Is there anything else that you would like to buy that you've marked off your list, etc., etc.?
Hengist will have bought an extra waterskin, which he's then gonna use. He's gonna broach probably one of the barrels of wine or bottles of wine that he's got in his house, and fill it with that. So he'll have a waterskin and a wineskin.
Nice.
And
good quality wine.
He's not like dinner
best.
Party wine,
not the best
but
stuff.
Drinking wine,
Okay.
Not cooking wine either. So like somewhere in between.
Cyrus can probably smell it from a mile away.
Yes.
This good wine.
And then he's also got, I think it was 2 weeks worth of rations, like dry rations or whatever they're called.
Very good.
That's all he's buying extra.
Okay, yeah. So mainly his own personal,
his own food.
Yeah. Brilliant. What about Bartleby and Cyrus?
Bartleby would just be restocking his candles. I'm leaving a few things behind that I normally keep as my standard inventory, but just restocking candles
and food and water.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And what about Cyrus?
Cyrus is probably going to follow Longshanks, the waterskin and the wine. The only thing I have added is a tent and rations.
Cool.
Everything else, I think I've already put on my character sheet.
Excellent. Is Cyrus a wine drinker or a mead ale drinker?
Depends on what kind of night he's looking for.
I view him as a percentage drinker.
Yeah, exactly. It's the volume and what coin he has left on him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just while you're preparing these items, certain little scenarios take place. So although you're all sort of like at the end of this little bit, I just want to give you a little bit of insight of what happens in each of your scenarios. I'm going to start with you, Hazra, because you sort of like get all your equipment and you can tell me what you would like to do or investigate as it goes on. And you come back to your cottage and you sort of like have everything ready for leaving in a couple of days' time. And it's while you're back in your cottage, probably quite late at night, that you hear a rather distressing sound from your barn or your corral or your stable, where you keep Brutus and the wagon.
Hazard will be up. He'll have his spear in his hand. He'll be moving outwards. He won't bother with clothing. If he's been woken up, he'll be straight out the door.
Yeah, and you sort of like go around or open the front doors of the stable or the lean-to or whatever, and you notice straight away that the strange noise is actually coming from Brutus. He's actually lying down on one side, and he's, which is quite unusual for cattle. They normally crouch, but he's actually down on one side. And he seems to be letting out this mournful moan every now and again. And you notice straight away that one of his sides is quite billowy. It's sort of like ballooning up in a sort of like a bulge. Do you have any animal law or husbandry or anything like that?
Now you mention it. No, I do have. I
thought you were going to say.
I've got lump hefting.
Yes, you do.
I do have first aid, but I mean, obviously that's on humans rather than hospital. Yeah,
okay, then. So, you can roll your survival skill, but I'll make it a standard roll because I think you probably know about Brutus. In any case, rather than increasing the difficulty. Oh, yeah, you definitely know about Brutus. You actually have seen a bit of this before, and it's very much a case of, can you remember when Brutus was out at Grandma's house and he ate far too many rotten apples? Yeah. It's very similar to that, although it seems to be a much more horrific case of it. The Brutus definitely looks like he's in significant pain, and this bulge down his side, I mean, you can tell that it's literally stretching his hide. You know, he doesn't look in a good way at all. What would you like to do?
Oh dear. Hazra will see this. He'll go up to Brutus and he's going to try to pull Brutus to his, or try and coax Brutus to his feet.
Okay, then,
because he knows laying on the side is not a good thing, so he wants to get Brutus to try and stand up.
Okay, so
as he's doing that, he's trying to massage around this lump to force it down.
Okay, then.
He's got IBF.
IBF.
I
don't think that is the right
trapped wind, mate. That's what's called trapped wind.
IBS.
It's gluten intolerant.
Yeah. Okay, then. So roll me a brawn roll.
Oh gosh.
See if you can pull him up.
I'm just chucking all these good rolls away, aren't I?
Yeah, that's my ploy. My ploy is to make sure you get rid of everything. Yeah, with some coaxing and some gentle words and actually pulling him with all your strength, you actually manage to get him upright, and almost like shifting something with the massaging, you do suddenly notice that there's an explosion from his nether regions, and where there's a huge pass of a mixture of oxen waste and wind, and it's almost like projectile vomit in this, but coming from the other end, and it just goes like that, and the side of it, the cow goes down somewhat, and he sort of like lets out a moan again, and you the smell sort of like hits you quite viciously. You get a feeling, relating it to Grandma's house, that he's probably eaten something really bad.
That it's not supposed to. Yes.
Yeah. Although there is nothing.
Well, no, Azra keeps a very clean stable, and the corral where he keeps Brutus during the day is normally waste free. Azra's going to look, and he can't take Brutus, which means he can't take the wagon, because he can't take Brutus like this. But what he will do is he'll open the gates, he'll leave Brutus in here but untethered, and he will have a quick walk around his feeding area where he grazes normally, make sure everything's clear there, nothing's been dropped in there like a dead animal or something. And then he's going to have to go on this journey without Brutus and leave him with food and to eat for the next few days and hope he survives.
Okay, just make a perception check for me. Yeah, you do check everything, and there's definitely something lurking in the bottom of his water. The water's quite clear, but you can definitely see 4 or 5 things in the bottom of his water trough. They seem to be sort of like rat size. You're sort of like looking through the water at the moment, so you can sort of like roll your sleeve up and go in there to see what it is, if you wish.
What Hasbro will probably do is kick it over.
Okay, yeah.
Rather than touching, he'll just, because if the water's contaminated, he'll get all the water out anyway.
Nice one. So you kick it over, or you tap it over, or push it over, and a lot of the water sort of like gushes out. And yeah, most definitely, there's about 6 decomposed rats in the bottom of his water tray. You don't think there would be any way for the rats to actually crawl up and sort of like commit suicide by throwing themselves into the water or anything. And also, the other thing that you notice is that they're in very putrid. It's in a putrid state.
Yeah. So somebody's put them there.
Well, I am not passing comments if you wish to.
As you're seeing these rats, he'll because rats don't do that, and especially out here. He doesn't know rats. He knows things about rats.
You do, yeah. He knows things about rats.
But that he knows they wouldn't come and they wouldn't do this. They wouldn't crawl in there and die. So Hazra will have a quick scan around the forest around him, just see if he can see anything untoward, any glints of anything in the moonlight. But now he's starting to worry a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So roll your tracking. I think you have tracking, which would be a good thing about around here.
80 out of 90.
That's getting better. Your rolls are just getting better and better. Remember, the closest to the skill, the better.
Yep.
So you do pick up something. Whoever has been here, there are several things from your roll that you can tell from the track. Number one, there was only one, or they were walking in each other's footsteps. Okay, one or the other. Number two, they were booted. They definitely had some kind of boot on. You're thinking probably soft leather of some description rather than hard armor. And the other thing that you notice is that the stride is quite long, and the actual track is not that deep. So you think it's probably somebody
tall and thin.
Yeah, very, very much so. But the other thing that you notice, and this is the last thing you notice, the tracks are extremely purposeful. They don't wander around. They definitely come from out the forest, straight to the stable, and then straight back again. There's no wandering around. You don't find any of them near your house. You don't find any round Brutus or behind Brutus at all. It's as if they knew what they were doing, and it just came, did what they had to do, and then leave. Okay. Nice. Anything else that Hazra would like to do before we pass on to somebody else?
No, but like I say, he'll make sure Brutus can get out when he's well enough. He'll refill the water, get rid of these rat carcasses.
Yeah.
Leaves a bit of feed out they'd bought for Brutus for the journey.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it.
And then he will set a couple of his traps up around.
Yeah.
Just to make more for home invasion than animals.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Got you. Just to let you know that there are people in Lindowe who could teach you husbandry if you wish at any point. There's a lot of farmers around who have cattle, which would be very close to oxen if Brutus survives the adventure. Hengist, you obviously don't fill up your own water and wine. You have a butler to do such things. I think his name's Alfred. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was something else, but we just called him Alfred all the time. And you're sort of like, this is about, just to let you all know, what I'm telling you happens either, you're due to go in 2 days, it either happens the first night or during the first day. So you still got another day. And you sort of like give Alfred your orders, I will need this, this, and this. And he says, will you be needing your best sword, sir? Oh, yes, then give me my best sword. And would you like this, that, the other? Anyway, you wake up on the second day and you come down the stairs in your mansion house and you find a rather downtrodden Alfred. He seems to be stood in the hall as if he's waiting for you, but not waiting for you. His head is sort of like looking down, and he's and this is quite unusual for Alfred. He's not standing rigidly still. He seems to be muttering and sort of like scuffing the floor with his feet. You come down the stairs and you can see him there. What would you like to do?
So Hengist will greet as normal. So he'll say, "Morning, Alfred."
Yes, morning, sir.
At that sort of response and the way that Alfred's reacting, so Hengist will pause and then say, "Is there anything the matter?"
Well, there is, and I'm not too sure how to say this to you, sir, but can I just reassure you that we are doing a thorough search of what might have happened or what could have happened or who or what has done such a dastardly deed in your own abode.
What's happened, Alfred? Just tell me.
I'm not too sure, sir. Is Sir calm?
Yes.
Well, first of all, sir, can I just say that I completely accept all responsibility for this drastic and this awful deed that has happened. Please do not blame any of the other hired hands. This is all down to my incompetence, and I trust that you will not fire me for this, sir. Yes, to the point. Well, you know, Master, you asked me to prepare your wineskins and waterskins yesterday.
Yes.
Well, something dreadful has happened, sir. I set them up and filled them and hung them in the kitchen, ready for the journey today. However, something awful has happened.
Let me guess. Someone's taken them.
No, sir. Worse.
I'm waiting. What's happened then?
Well, sir, and I accept full responsibility for this. This is all my fault. Hopefully you will not, how can one say, terminate my employment, he says quickly after the word terminate, that he suddenly realises could be taken a different way. Would appear, sir, that somebody came into the kitchen and, well, slashed the waterskins.
Right, okay.
So they have slashed the waterskins. We will have to buy new ones. I got the cook to mop up the floor of the water and the expensive wine that we decanted into it. But I am sorry, sir, there is no way at all you will be able to use these waterskins for your journey today.
That's fine, Alfred. They're only waterskins, but was there anything else taken or any other sign of forced entry into the...
Yes, I should have thought about that. Let me get back to you on that, sir. As far as I'm concerned, there is nothing taken from the kitchen, apart from some of your wine and some water and, yes, slashed waterskins.
Right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it, and we may need to report it to the guards if anything else turns up to have been taken.
Oh, report it. Yes, I didn't really think about that. And he looks like he's slightly worried in the sense that he's just accepted responsibility for it. But now you've mentioned the guards, and he's sort of like thinking, he's sort of frantically looking around.
As far as I'm concerned, Alfred, this isn't something that could have been foreseen or prevented unless a door was left open or a window was left open over the night. But I won't be.
I know, and
You're fine.
That is my responsibility, sir. And I have sent out for new wineskins immediately.
Thank you,
yes, sir. And anything else I can obviously help you with today, sir. I am completely and utterly at your disposal. Well, I am normally at your disposal, so more at your disposal as you see fit, sir.
Thank you, Alfred. It's most kind.
And he sort of like backs out as if you're some kind of royalty that he's not allowed to turn his back on. And sort of like, is there anything Hengist would like to do?
Hengist will probably make its way down to the kitchen at some point in the morning. Because it's not something he would normally do, but he does normally sort of move around the house fairly freely, because he's not the typical sort of Lindowe aristocrat.
Got ya.
Because the nobility from where he came from were a little bit more relaxed about their nobility.
Right.
So he's still following that sort of thing. So he finds the whole way Alfred treats him still quite
and probably
awkward. And he's aware that the other servants probably feel awkward because he doesn't react how he think that they're expecting to. But so it wouldn't be unheard of for him to visit the kitchens or any other part of the house. But it's still sort of like an awkward affair. But he will sort of like wander around, check, like make sure that nothing else has been. Probably talk to the cook, make sure nothing else has been taken. Have a visual inspection of the windows and doors, that sort of thing.
Okay. And as you come into the kitchen, although you're quite relaxed, you can probably imagine that your staff is probably not as relaxed as you.
And he's aware of that, but he doesn't
it's so
comment on
interesting because the cook is kneading some bread, and sort of like whacking it down on the stone table, sort of like really giving it, and she suddenly sees you and goes, "Oh, master!" like that, and everybody, it's almost like captain on the deck, and everybody sort of like turns, and two of the maids try to do a flimsy curtsy at you, and she sort of like looks at her floured hands and sort of says, "Oh, can I help you, sir? Is there something you would like?"
No, not at all. I'm just walking through because of what happened last night. Just want to make sure everyone's all right.
I assure you that I try to keep the kitchen in a very good state.
I know you do. Thank you, and I thank you for that.
And they all sort of like are stood there waiting for you.
Just ignore that I'm here. Carry on as you would be normally.
And you notice the cook, as beforehand she was giving the dough quite the punch, and now she's sort of like gently fingering it is probably the only word for it, and the maids are sort of like looking around and sort of like trying to busy themselves. You notice that one of them picks up a cup and puts it on a dresser, waits for a while, and then picks the cup back up from the dresser and puts it back on the table. And they're a little bit flummoxed, but just to let you know, the windows don't look like they've been broken into at all. Just make a perception check for me.
Hengist legendary perception checks.
Yeah, I didn't think you would notice it, but yeah, the windows look absolutely fine, and you sort of like maybe inquire where the skins are, and they've been thrown over into a pile of reusable skins that they might use to patch something together or something like that. And you go over and you have a look, and this is what the perception check was for. And yeah, they seem to be slashed quite purposefully, because they're slashed down at the bottom, but not manically.
Okay.
So probably just one, maybe two slashes in each skin.
Okay. So once he's noticed that, he'll put them back. You say it's day 2, so we're going later today, or we're going tomorrow?
You are. This happened at the end of day 1, so we're into day 2. So you would be probably leaving about midday today.
Okay. Well, Hengist will probably get ready as much as he can. If there's and then he says if anything's not ready, like the skins or that sort of thing, he'll leave a message with Alfred to say, "Can you send them on?" And then Hengist is going to go to the church He's going to go and try and meet Bartleby first.
Okay.
Earlier because of what's happened.
Yeah, nice.
And he says, "I'll be at the Church of Amriel if there's anything that's not ready."
Okay.
You can send it on there and I'll collect it there.
Are you going on foot or wagon? Carriage?
No, he walks.
So nice.
He'll walk. Exactly.
You definitely need a horse. You definitely need.
He does need a horse.
Yeah. What's your riding
Hengist
skill?
will then make his way over to the Church of Amriel to try and find Bartleby.
What's Hengist's ride skill?
This is why he doesn't have a horse. His ride skill is 20.
Yeah, perhaps go by foot. Go by foot. Okay, so you set off towards Bartleby, which is interesting. So let's zip across to Bartleby. Your first day went quite normally, Bartleby, and however, when you awake in the morning after morning prayers and the ritual lighting of candles, etc., etc., one of the acolytes, one of the lower down members of the church, brings you a folded piece of parchment, and he sort of like comes up to you and sort of like, "Oh, Father Bartleby, a person came to the church and asked me to deliver this to you." And he hands over a folded piece of parchment.
Why, thank you. I must be so popular. It's the second message I've gotten in 2 days. I guess that's not too popular. Thank you, though. I'll open it, kind of dismissing him, I suppose.
Yeah.
And turning to read it myself.
Yeah, and you open it, and you don't need to make a literacy roll to actually read it, because I know that you can read in any case. There's just 3 words on the actual piece of parchment. It says, leave or die. And that's it. That's all it says on the piece of parchment. Leave or die. If you wish to know anything about the handwriting, then you can roll your literacy skill if you have one.
Yeah, that's a little perplexing because I think I am leaving pretty soon. But here's my literacy to see if I can decipher anything about the writer.
You will get some information with the easy, but it depends whether or not you want to up it or not.
Yeah, I'm feeling paranoid. I'm going to spend one of my 3 luck points to make that a 5.
Fantastic. Okay, so this is what you can figure out about this writing. First of all, it lacks any elegancy. It's all the letters of it's almost as if it's been carved, if that makes sense. So there's no flourishes, there's no loops, there's no fluidity in the writing at all. For example, the L is just like a line, you know, and then that's it. The E is in capitals because that's easier. They almost like look as if they can't do curves or something like that. It's very rigid and very lacking any elegancy. The other thing that you notice is that the ink is not very good on here. It's very poor quality ink. You know this because you can see that it's started to seep into the parchment, and you can see where it's weeped around the edges of the letters, and it's definitely not posh ink, and definitely not done by a posh quill, maybe a stick or something like that. The final thing that you notice is that you notice that the D is actually the wrong way round. It's a capital D, and it's made up of a single stroke and then 2 diagonal strokes. Does that make sense? So it almost like looks like a triangle on one end, but it's back to front. It's actually back to front. So instead of sort of like facing the rest of the die, it's sort of like facing the other way completely. And there is a line underneath it, underneath the whole die bit, as if to say, ha! You know, and it looks like it's been scratched and there wasn't enough ink on the implement, because it almost like it's one of those things that they probably drew it and then at the last moment it ran out of ink and scraped that last little bit. Yeah. What would you like to do? Yeah,
Is the acolyte still there, or has he ran off?
Well, he's probably gone off, but you can call him back if you wish.
Yeah, I'd like to race after him and
His name's
call him back.
Clive, just out of interest. Because you never asked about Grandma's name, even though you just used her. I know. I don't think Medivac's got his.
Sorry, good. I was looking at something. Sorry.
I was just saying you never asked about Grandma's name.
No,
You
but
just
we knew where she lived.
You just used her and discarded her.
Grandma's fault.
Yeah. So it's Clive. That's
5.
the.
I'll approach him if I can and say, Clive,
You could
who
probably
gave this to you?
summon him, since you're higher up in the church, and he sort of like comes back and says, yes, Father Bartleby.
Who gave you this message for me?
Oh, it was a hooded figure.
I had a feeling. There's only a few people who write in this weird carved way.
I couldn't see their face. The hood was over it.
And they just said, give to Bartleby?
Yes, they mentioned you by name, Father. They said, give this to Bartleby. And they offered me a silver piece, but I gestured to the charity box.
Good.
but they kept it.
Was the voice masculine and feminine?
He sort of like thinks for a while, thinking about the words.
Man or woman?
Oh, he says, man, or a really low-voiced woman.
See.
And he was quite rasping, sir. It was a bit like, "Give this to Bartleby."
Good to know. Were they very tall?
Taller than me, sir.
I presume not a large man.
He sort of like looks puzzled for a while and says, "Taller than me, sir." Oh, there was one other thing, sir. I don't know how to say this, but, well, you know how Father Abbott, after he's not taken a bath for some months?
Of course.
He smelt a bit like that, sir. A bit hongy.
I've got a bad feeling about this. I'm sorry, Clive. I must be going. I need to attend to this matter.
Of course, Father.
Immediately.
Of course, Father. Thank you. And Clive goes running off. No, he probably sort of like tries to leave with some stately walk, some religious way of traveling to try to show that he is dedicated. Anything else that Bartleby would like to do?
Bartleby would be scrambling to get his stuff together so that he can check to see if his friends are all right and not murdered.
Okay, so Hengist is arriving at the church shortly, but we're going to go over to Cyrus. Cyrus, I think would you have been drinking last night?
Yeah. Not that he wanted to, it happened to come up.
Okay, so, any time that you would like to resist, you can always use your willpower to see whether or not you can actually resist.
All right.
And just to let you know, so if anybody else is supporting you in resisting, then they can use their willpower or another suitable passion to sort of like support you. So yeah, okay. Roll your endurance roll then. Let's see how much you manage to consume.
Yeah. Gross. Yeah.
Right. So you're probably very worse for wear this morning. It was a good night, but the sun's shining brightly this morning, and you sort of like got your cape over your head, and you're not feeling 100% at all, rather nauseous, and you probably think that is probably Hairy Hobgoblin's ale or wine or whatever you had last night. And as you sort of like walk away around trying to get some fresh air and maybe drink some water to rehydrate you, two things happen. As you're walking down one of the streets in Lindowe, a rather old, bedraggled, skinny, smelly woman sort of like sees you walking past. And you notice that she's sort of like sat on the edge of the curb, so to speak, edge of the road. And she has what appears to be a wooden bowl in front of her. And you notice that as you walk past, she throws some bones or stones into the bowl and looks at it. And you notice that she becomes very rigid, almost like shocked. And she looks up at you, and she almost like shouts at you across the road, which actually causes a lot of people to sort of like turn round. And she's like,
I look around me and see if she shouts behind me or something.
And she sort of like holds up a crooked finger to you, and she sort of like shouts out, "Be warned! Heavy storms are approaching your life."
You talking to Talking to me? Or...
Yes. Heavy storms approach your life. The runes have spoken.
Lady, what?
It's interesting because other people are sort of like started to move now. You can hear them as they come by. Somebody, a what girl says to her, a lady turns to her friend and says, "Oh, poor man. He's going to have heavy storms approaching. How dreadful for him." As they sort of like walk past. And she goes, would you like to know more?
I grab I walk up to her, kneel down towards her.
She gets a little bit close
and then flick a silver piece right into the bowl.
Yeah, and as you get close, you notice that her mouth has got 1 or 2 teeth left, all decayed, and there's this breath of almost like, well, unpleasantness, Kazaka, and she sort of like takes the silver from you, or you'll drop it into her hand, and all of a sudden it's gone. You don't know which fold that she tucked it into, and I'm talking about folds of skin there and not clothing. And she's sort of like, this sort of like goes, and she's sort of like rolls. She picks up her stones, and she sort of like rolls them, and she looks horrified at it. And she points up. There is only death and destruction. She doesn't cough, that's me.
Want to elaborate just a bit? Anything?
Soon. It will come when you least expect it. It will come from the night. From beneath the ground. It will rise and take you.
Lady, you need help. I don't know what you've been drinking or what you've taken.
No,
right.
It is you who needs help.
Probably. But still, take that silver piece, get some broth, get something in your stomach, because I feel like you're kind of struggling just a bit. All right.
She says as you leave, she says, tread carefully. Danger will come from beneath.
All right. So Cyrus will get up. He will go to a nearby stable and just realize that he's probably still asleep or struggling from sleeping. He's going to dip his entire front part, his entire body into like a water trough, and just try to wake up that way.
Yeah.
Give himself
as
shock therapy.
You sort of douse yourself in cold water, and you sort of like come up sort of like bedraggled, all over the place, and you sort of like trying to recover and do calm breathing when you suddenly hear a voice, and it's a female voice, and he says, "Sir."
I look to see who it is.
It's the bluebird.
Oh.
That you called a pigeon.
Yeah.
And you notice that there's something slightly different about her.
Roll perception?
No, you don't need. No. You can see
Okay.
it. She no longer wears the blue robes.
Okay.
She wears red robes.
Red robe.
And she says, "Sir, I took your advice."
Well, the red seems to match your complexion. That's good.
Yes. I took your advice, and you won't believe what I found out.
What'd you find out?
My name's Mel, by the way.
Mel. All right. Mel, what'd you find out? You found out that being a pigeon's kind of a waste of time?
Completely. I went to your order, and they tested me. And apparently, I have the highest magical power that they've ever seen in a long time.
That seems to match what I probably expect. Yeah. Anyways, they said that you, someone who initially I assumed was nothing more than
A pigeon,
A pigeon.
she says, smiling.
Yes, a pigeon. Yeah, what that? Yeah, is somehow the most powerful person they've seen.
Oh yes, they said that I will have to do a lot of training to harness the power, but even the master of the order here in Lindowe said that the power I have is probably greater than his.
Right. Well, you know what that means. I think it means you owe me something.
She said,
for introducing you to the order.
She says, I know what it means. And she grins at you and she says, I'm on the way up and you are in my way. And she just sort of like, almost like doesn't wait for acknowledgement or anything. She just turns round as if she owes you nothing and marches quite purposefully down the road. And she turns around to look at you in your bedraggled state. And she goes like that. And a flame appears in her hand. And she just smiles at you and goes and blows it out. And continues down the road out of sight. Okay, so...
Shit day.
You wouldn't believe how many notes I made last time. So
right.
There seems to be a whole load of confusion happening here. You probably get together on lunchtime in the Hairy Hobgoblin to sort of like collect thoughts. Is there anything that has happened to anyone that you would not share at that meeting?
Azra will always share what has happened. Maybe not the location of his cottage, but he will share what has happened to Brutus because it's an integral part of this mission that we're doing. And now we no longer have Brutus. So he will say I was working in the night and I came out, Brutus was crying, so I rushed out to the stables and he was engorged with huge sides. And I managed to get him, and when I squeezed him, it was like those horrible pipes that some people play. You know, there's animal skins with the bits sticking out, and he was everywhere. So I got him, and I discovered that.
that went into Yorkshire then, did you?
But
you might go, I discovered. What did you discover?
So I discovered that in the trough, somebody had put some desiccated rats in there. And it's one person, he must, from the track sign, he must have been tall because his stride was long and he came from the forest. He walked to the water trough, he turned around and he walked back to the forest. So it was done on purpose. It's something, I think my location has been discovered by somebody or by, nobody should know where I live.
Right.
Has anything else strange happened to anybody else?
How much are you going to tell them, Cyrus? This is what I know.
All right. Well, first I met a crazy lady who definitely smelled of putrid piss, but she's, I don't know. We really have a homeless issue here. I feel like we should definitely handle it. I think it should be a policy thing.
I'd be happy for you to help me. I help a lot of them regularly. I could use a couple pairs of hands helping out. You healing the folk.
Yeah, you get the homeless people. They offer their hands. That's how it does. They work for free. What else are they gonna do, right? Then also met a person who I convinced and would not be where she is today without my suggestion. And it turns out that she's gonna do well. But obviously it's all about the journey. It's all about the journey of what she's going to be. But she's gonna join my order and probably be a really interesting someone who's like an apprentice of mine, maybe something like that. So that looks interesting. So today's been really weird that way. But definitely has potential. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe has potential.
I'm just waiting to use the Star Wars quote when I say, "You were once the master." No, only a master of evil doth. Right. I'll wait for that. Hengist and Bartleby, are you sharing anything?
So Hengist will say, "Really odd. Last night, someone broke into the house where I live and flashed my waterskins, which were good for today."
That's not a euphemism for anything.
No euphemism at all.
I got my waterskins slashed last night.
It was odd.
Somebody slashed on your skin.
This homeless problem, man, it's getting ridiculous.
But that's all that happened. There was nothing else taken. And they were hanging in the kitchens and none of the food was taken. So I don't. Rather odd.
Cyrus and Bartleby, can you just make a perception roll for me, please?
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about.
Ooh, yeah.
So you both hear this. Annalyn's on the table behind you, if you can see him. And he has a quite robust lady with him at the moment. Probably in her late 50s, very rotund, everything heading southwards. And she sort of is covering the majority of the chair. And she seems to be, you hear her, you just catch this glimpse of a conversation as she's talking to Annalyn. And she says, "I need some more of the potion." And Annalyn says, "Did it work?" And she says, "All night and halfway through the next morning as well." "Well, by all means, I can give you for the usual price." "Oh, yes, please. Do give me it. Best night ever," she says. As there's an exchange of elixir and money, and she walks quite bow-legged out of the tavern, but quite sprintly and sprightly, as a low trot rather than anything else. Yes, Hengist, you were telling us about your slashed water skins.
Hengist hasn't got anything else to add on that.
Bartleby.
Bartleby will slide the note into the center of the table, pointing to it as if everybody can read it, and says, "I know exactly who is behind this. Except for your situation, Cyrus. I'm not really sure what your problem is."
Does Cyrus have a literacy skill?
I don't actually. That's the one thing. Ironically, I don't think he has.
So you can speak and understand, but you can't read. Okay, so the literacy skill takes the reading, but there's plenty of people in Lindowe who can teach you. And I think Bartleby sort of says, "I got this. Look at this," and you all sort of
pretty picture
with strange markings on that Hengist knows is writing.
Yeah. And Bartleby, you probably think
crow markings.
Wow, that's really interesting. But you should tell them what it says, because I don't think they can read.
Just make a deceit roll for me.
Yeah.
He pulls it off. Yeah,
on the nose, right on the nose.
You pull it off. Yeah.
So Bartleby, what did he say?
Bartleby traces the lines, trying to emphasize that they're very straight, carved lines, and says, "Leave or die." And it's written just like the notes that Gulliver and I had gotten before, I believe, from the Thieves Guild.
Dun, dun, dun. Fancy you remembering that.
And then the acolyte who delivered the message to me from whomever brought it to the church. Well, I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but I have a feeling almost sounded like that tailor who had the spells he cast on Gulliver when we were in the sewers, dealing with shipments. Cyrus, and we were stopping pirates.
I'm very good at
I think that ended in a really interesting battle, if I remember right.
Oh gosh, yes.
And he's still out there,
Yeah.
and he hates us.
I think Gulliver led that charge, if I remember correctly.
Because nobody was taking my cue to actually act, so I was just standing there mumbling to the
I think
pirates.
Hengist and I was still going, oh, there's something in the water.
Yeah, it was a great. We didn't die, so
No, you didn't. That is true. It's interesting as you're all talking about this and listening to Annalyn's customers' stories in the background, and Cyrus and Bartleby, every now and again you think, what? You know, as various stories go on about energy, endurance, size. It sort of like captures that most of all. And things about squeezing and tightness and hugs, etc., etc. You notice that through the door, you see the guild master who you were at the meeting with yesterday come rushing in, and he sort of like almost like bursts through the door and has a quick scan of the room as if he's looking for you. And then he notices you all at the table, and you start walking across, and Basil so says, "Good evening, merchant," and he just like puts his hand up like that as if to say, talk to the hand. And he comes across to your table and he pulls out that chair almost like at the head of the table, which he almost like considers is probably where he should be in his almost like arrogant state. And he sits himself down, and he just, it might be that Bartleby is still sort of like, so look, it says leave undied. He just marches in and sits down, and he says, "I'm sorry, there is a delay."
Pray tell, what is this delay you are talking about?
Well, a very strange thing has occurred. I am not too sure, although I have my suspicions, you understand. And he sort of like looks towards you, Bartleby, as if to say, you know what I'm thinking, don't you? He says, would you believe we had all our wagons set up ready to leave last night, and then this morning each wagon has lost a wheel. Yes, you heard that. Lost a wheel. Smashed. Only the metal surroundings left. We are having to construct or pay somebody to do more construction of this wheel. We will not be going today. It will take a good day to get everything sorted, and then we will hopefully be on our way. So, yes, and we do not consider this our fault, so payment will be delayed until we actually set off. And he says,
I'm sorry, please stop at this point, because we agreed to leave today. We are all ready to go today. We are all prepared. We have a wagon and a mule, oxen. We are ready to go today, but why would you delay payment? Because it's not our fault that you've lost your wheels.
yeah, influence roll.
Oh, sorry, it's on my equipment list. Oh, 44 out of 36.
So very close.
It's the accent.
Now you just wish some of your earlier rolls were coming up now.
Oh, yes. That's your cunning plan.
And yeah. Yes, I am that devious. He sort of like pushes his chair back as you're sort of like speaking, and he says, I will talk to my accountant. So another day. And he just almost like quite arrogantly, he sort of like turns around and there's a flick of robes, and he heads out of the hairy hobgoblin. And just to let you know, over the next day, when things are being prepared, things that you're asking for, there seems to be a delay. For example, if you were buying bread, part of your rations, you know, when you go to your most popular baker, the baker that you always attend, Bartleby probably goes to one in the slump and takes what he's given, including any dead larvae or maggots in the bread. But you notice that when you get to the bakery, that there's no bread being sold. And when you inquire about it to the baker, he sort of like says that they powered up their ovens, but somebody doused them with water and put out the ovens. And you notice that when you say go to get your rope or something like that, the person in charge of the store almost like says, "Oh, I sold the last of my rope this morning. Indeed, I sold the whole stock. We will be getting more in the next shipment. Have you tried so-and-so's shop?" And you really do get this feeling that there's almost like a feeling that somebody is trying to prevent you from leaving. The only people who approach you during this time is the guild. You don't hear anything from the mercenaries or the construction people, but there definitely seems to be this reluctance or this people who are trying to deter you from leaving. Just so you realize, Bartleby, on the next day, you get another note that is exactly the same. Brutus does recover. It's probably some kind of gastro issue that he had. He's not dead. He just seems to be. It's almost as if you couldn't take. Yeah, it's almost as if you couldn't. You couldn't take him, but now you can. But it was almost like a delaying action. And Hengist, Alfred comes back to you, and sort of like said, "Would you believe it, sir? There are no wineskins left with our usual supplier. We are going elsewhere." And Cyrus, you notice for the rest of this day that the soothsayer, the rune reader, is there. But the day after, she's gone. She's no longer there. But you do catch out of the corner of your eye now and again Mel, who just seems to be. You notice that she's walking around with a group of other red robe sorcerers. Very much, these are sort of like late teenagers, lads, very sort of like in with the order. And she seems to have grown and sort of like merged with their friendship group. And she's the only girl in, and a lot of people are sort of like being very friendly with her. And so like saying, yes, oh yes, Mel, your mate, they're fantastic. We are actually worried about your power, Mel. You know, so forth and so on. Now, I do believe that we had, and do correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had a setup for ox. Did we have a token for your ox and wagon?
Oh yes, indeed.
Yeah. Let me just. It's probably be at Ant. Oh, you want?
I'll be right back. 2 seconds.
It's in the page that's called Inside Grandma's. I won't mention what the last word is. Right. Oh yes, you do. Here it is. Here it is. Let me just cut and paste this onto your your map. There we go. Let's just make Brutus a bit bigger and turn it around. Okay, I'm going. Yeah.
Cyrus. I guess I can do a a willpower check, but out of kind of anger and jealousy, did not drink the night prior.
Ooh, he's being reformed. Yeah, let's have the willpower check. Would
All right,
anybody?
let's see.
It will.
Or tries not to.
Would anybody be supporting you in your?
Not this one though.
Okay, yeah, roll away then.
Yes.
Oh my giddy hand! Cyrus is becoming a reformed character.
He's just a little more narrow in his focus. That's all.
So, can you see the
I can
setup?
see Brutus.
Yeah.
Can you see the other?
I can see the others.
Yeah,
I
fantastic.
recognise the road.
Yeah,
Reminds me of Ben.
it's actually
It does, yeah.
it's actually the first road I ever used.
I know, that's why I recognise it.
You know, which is good. Let's get rid of that green circle. Let's go on to this thing. So, the really and truly, if you think about it, there's 3 wagons and 3 horses. Okay, each one is a wagon and a horse for the group of people. So there's 1 wagon and horse for the mercenaries, 1 wagon and horse for the crafters, and 1 wagon and horse for the guild. It is actually the merchants that actually approach Hengist, you, and Cyrus, because obviously they are aware of what you are used to doing, if that makes sense, and what your order does, etc., etc. And they know that you are both happy to sort of like provide advice about tactics or things like that. So they are happy. You can both make me a roll of your suitable skill. I think you have one about counseling people.
Okay. Okay. Sweet.
Hengist is not going to use his 1 luck point this early in the game.
No. He keeps that for combat.
Yeah.
Don't mind, look at the time.
But Cyrus, you sort of like you both sort of like engage with them, and the mercenaries come up to you, and they seem to hold both of you in some admiration, mainly because of your tactical knowledge. You know, they know what you've done and what you have done, and they sort of like say to you, how would you like us to proceed? You know, which wagon should go first, which should go second, which should go last. So yeah, Cyrus, you made your roll. So what would be the plan that you give them? Not that anything counts.
All right. I think in this case, you guys know the way there, and you guys are also set as protection. So I think you guys should be in the first of the.
Okay, so the first one will be the mercenaries, yeah?
Yeah. The middle one, I think, should be everyone else, and then us should be the last one.
So do you want the guild in the middle or the crafts people in the middle?
Put guild in the middle,
Okay.
and then crafts people after.
Okay, and whereabouts is Brutus going to be in that order?
You guys agree for the middle? For us to be in the middle.
Rear, totally agree with the rear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll be in the rear.
Okay, that's absolutely cool. Right, I'm just going to reduce the size of some of the do you want to be single file, or do you want to be you can actually on the road put 2 abreast if you wish. Cyrus.
I mean,
yeah, sorry. Yeah, do what you're doing right now with kind of like almost like a checkered formation.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll just move that one up Then I'll move good old Brutus at the back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay then. So let's stick your tokens on.
A group of police cyclists.
Yeah, and then you can decide where you actually get ready for Bartleby.
I was just thinking, Hengist is
Oh
huge.
God! Oh,
Don't step on me.
Using large.
Bartleby, in your face!
Let me just move Cyrus down into the right place. He's not with the rest of the party, but he is now. Okay then, let me just pull Cyrus on, and then what you can do, you might not have control yet.
It's always a square.
No, I know. I know why. Right, let's just. We do have a token for him. Can you all move your characters or not?
Yeah, I can.
I cannot.
Okay, then let me activate.
Move the
Bart.
carts though.
You all should.
Awesome!
You all should have own. The only people who probably don't have ownership over the cart will be Cyrus. I would have thought. But
Yeah.
I can actually give it. Okay, Bartleby should be able to be moved now.
I've got control.
And there you go, Hengist.
Thank you.
If you get the reins, I can say, engage number one.
Advanced. I wonder. All players, it says. So you probably can do now, Cyrus. Have a go.
Yeah, I can.
Why is Brutus going the other way?
Sorry.
Just turned him around. Awesome.
What's going on there?
That
Right.
was
He's
me.
moonwalking
Sorry, I was
the way
having
there.
A bit of a levity.
You can tell because he's going the same direction, but he's going beep, beep.
Yeah. And you've just got Hasra going beep.
This bull is reversing.
Yeah. Right, Cyrus should now have a proper circular tool.
Nice.
Doesn't matter to me,
Awesome.
Inwils, but I do have Hengist's old token.
Do you know, I was just changing that as you were speaking. I was just trying to find where I put his other one. There you go.
Two of them, the twins.
Yeah, the two faces of
Yes,
Hengist.
Hengist.
And they look identical. And they sound identical.
I'll need to do some alter. Okay, you should be able to move them now. Okay, so you can put yourself whereabouts you would like to be in the wagon normally, if that makes sense. Where would you actually be riding it, etc., etc.
Can we join other wagons?
That's completely up to you. That will be possible. Yeah.
Bartleby would want to be with the craftsmen to kind of mingle with them and get a feel, and also to spread the truth of Amria, of course.
Of course. Right, I'm just removing that default token.
It's all gone down to class again, hasn't it?
It's all gone down to what?
Class.
Class. Right, I'm just
It's
trying
with the guild masters.
Well, it's with the
No,
guild.
not at all, plebeian.
The guards don't need an extra fighter. You guys don't need an extra fighter. Bartleby's there with the
But these
craftsmen.
rich people do.
But these rich people will probably go, ah, and then hide under a wagon if anything happens. So
Right, Hengist, your character sheet should have the right Hengist on now.
it does. Thank you.
And let me just quickly do Cyrus's. For him, click on that, use that token, remove that, and that should be yours done as well, Cyrus. It now should be.
This looks good.
Yeah. So so Cyrus is in the back wagon with Hasra.
Mhm. He's going to be essentially napping, or at least laying, not napping, but at least resting
Okay,
laying on his
then
back.
not peeing off the back of the car.
No. We'll save that for next session.
Okay, Hazra, of course, you are controlling
yeah.
Brutus. Bartleby, you're with the crafters.
Yep.
Hengist, you're with the guild people, and the mercenaries are at the front. Okay, so just out of interest, one of the party, one of the merchants, comes to both you, Hengist, and Cyrus, and queries whether or not you want them to set a scout ahead.
Yeah. No, that seems like an intelligent choice.
Okay.
For a party, yeah.
So just so you know, each wagon, each group has 4 people with them. The 3 people that you saw in the original guild house, and then 1 other. They seem to be dressed appropriately. So all the Hengist, all the guild travelers are really sort of like, they're not dressed for traveling, they're dressed to look special and, you know, out there. You also notice that the quality of their tents and their bedding and their food is quite top-notch. And Bartleby, you notice quite the opposite in your wagon. There's definitely a more practical aspect of the wagon, and a lot more rough and ready. That makes sense. Okay, what would people like to do? Would you like to grab a quick 5-10 minute break, or would you like to just continue on playing?
Break.
I'd like a break.
Yeah,
okay then.
please.
Yeah. Okay then. So we will have.
Give me a break.
I will stop the track and change the screen, and we'll have 10 minutes. So we're back 1 minute before 1:45. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Fantastic. I'll be right back. Is finishing
I
off.
wish I was. I'm going to pop to Longshanks and have his cheesecake.
Yeah,
But just a biscuit bit.
just eat the biscuit bit. That's the
You
important.
better hurry when you're back. There's not much left. No, I'm joking.
Okay, so you've set off towards the Lonesome Bridge, where you're hopefully going to find the site, and the mercenaries have sent out a scout to sort of like scout ahead, and the road's quite flat and quite clear. Remember, you have the forest on the east of the road, or to your right, and the river to the left. Remember, over to the west side, over to your left, that side of the river is plains. It's like farmlands and things like that. It's very flat. Well, over to the right, to the east, it's a lot more forest. And if you remember from previous adventures, this forest gets quite dense very quickly. So although on the edge you can probably, get into it and hide in there, you don't think it will be a good place to try to get horses and wagons. You probably think horses could be led in, but probably not the wagons. There's too much of a danger there. Anyway, it's as you're sort of like going along, and the sun's quite high in the sky, and you've already stopped for breaks on the way to make sure that the horses are fed and watered, and you also get some water. And it's about 2:00 in the afternoon, and you notice the first thing that you're aware of is the mercenaries at the front of the caravan saying to you, sirs, the scout returns.
What is he saying?
You sort of like all look up and you see him running, and he's quite small at the moment because he's sort of like tiny as he's running towards you, and you can see that he's running at probably top speed. The mercs normally carry a short spear like you, Hazra, but you soon become very much aware that he's not actually carrying a weapon at all. He's either thrown it or dropped it. Is there anything you would like to do before he reaches the caravan?
Hazra, hearing this, will kind of try to slow Brutus down just a little bit. Ready for attacking him, stopping him and stopping anything from happening, basically.
And you notice that as everybody has recognized this scout returning, everybody has slowly come to a halt, obviously waiting for this scout to come back. Are you all waiting in the places you are, or are some of you moving?
So as soon as Hengist's caravan comes to a halt, Hengist is going to get out and he's going to make his way to the front caravan.
Yeah, cool.
It's like a few meters, it's like 10.
Yeah, you can move yourself to where you want to be. Yeah.
Hazra's going to be pretty much the same. Once Brutus has stopped, he'll pitch him.
Just remember, it takes a little bit longer to get Brutus moving.
What he'll do is he'll on his reins he'll have a stake there, and he'll drive it into the grass. So hopefully that will help.
Okay, so everybody's coming to a halt. Yeah, so you're moving up as well. Yes, Cyrus, what's going to be your plan?
I'm going to grab my weapon and jump off the side of the.
With your weapon, it's more like pole vaulting, I'm sure. Yeah. It's 2.5 meters tall.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's.
Hazra looks at his spear and goes,
yeah.
Yours looks like a little matchstick.
He's walking up front. He's gonna be like stretching, crack his neck, getting ready. Something's coming up.
Cool. Do you want to move yourself?
Yeah.
Bartleby will also move up there.
So I'll move the map Are you just staying there? Oh no, you're moving.
To be fair, Haz will probably move to the other side of this rock.
Yeah.
Hiding behind it. Just his little spear post.
Can I use the rock for passive blocking, please? Yeah. Okay. Then. So this, you notice that coming up with you is one of the merchants and the leader of the merchant company and the leader of the construction company, and the rest of the mercs sort of like spread themselves out very similar to you. And you notice that this scout that's returning, he does get slower and slower as he approaches, and he sort of like comes up to the caravan, and he's extremely red. He's extremely out of breath. It looks like he's run for quite a while, and he tries to sort of like say something, and it seems to then collapse on the floor, and people look concerned. Is there anything you would like to do?
Hengist will say, he'll just turn to one of the other guards and say, get him a waterskin.
Yeah, and one of them sort of like dashes off to their wagon to get a waterskin and brings it back and hands it to you, Hengist.
Hengist will take it, thank the chap, and then give it to the guard that's just come along and said, here, have some of this. And
yeah, so
tell us what's happened.
He looks like he's passed out or something as you sort of like crouch down next to him, and you probably try to trickle some of the water in through his lips, to try to get him some, hopefully hydrate him. Is there anything any of the other three would like to do?
Yes. Bartleby would like to kneel and begin to do a prayer for this passed out man. Hopefully it'll work, but Bartleby isn't sure. This is the prayer he'd like to pray.
Yes, yeah.
To give him energy and maybe reduce the effects of his fatigue. And here's my roll.
Oh, nice. Yeah, nice. So what does that look like when you cast it?
See, it would most likely, to anybody looking at him, it would look like Bartleby's eyes are kind of going, the color's going into a pale moonlight kind of glow. They're not making much light, but to the person it's being cast on, if this wakes him up, I imagine he would see Bartleby just covered in a halo of light.
Oh, so like a halo around his head, and angels going, we love you, Bartleby. Like this is a chorus of angelic voices. Singing in 5-part harmony as he goes.
Ringing in the background going,
yeah. And he sort of like... you sort of like touch him, and it sort of like casts the spell, and he opens his eyes as he comes round, and he sort of like blinks in the sunlight, and then sort of like looks and almost like remembers where he is, and he suddenly almost like tries to sit up very rapidly, and he sways a bit, but manages to stand up, and he says, bandits on the road.
how many?
I only saw briefly 10, maybe 20.
All right, I'm going to make a command. I'm going to shout to the merchants behind us to hide within the carts, making sure they're not be able to be seen. Just kind of trap these people in, maybe try to get into like a U shape so it kind of gets them in so we can maybe surround them.
Okay, so do you want to give orders to move the carts? Is that the plan?
No, the carts are fine. I'm talking about us and the mercenaries.
Right.
So if we, I think I would, in this case, do a lore war cancel check.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
All right. Perfect. All right. I'm going to ask him to do in a U shape. So some of them, I'm assuming there's woods on both on one side of the road, correct?
Yeah, you've actually got. I'm just trying to. Mm-hmm. There's actually 4 of these. These are the mercs. So that one is out of control. So if you ping the map, so if you just hold your mouse button down, it'll put a ping, and then I can move them to where you would like them stood, where you order them to be.
So I'm going to have
masterfully.
I'm going to have two of them hide in the bushes to the right here.
Okay, he's in there.
Yeah.
Where do you want the other one? Is that in place?
Yeah, same place. Yeah, right around there. So essentially, have them hidden so that way when they come around, these guys can come in from a flank, and then I'll have this guy on the far left, right in front of me.
Okay.
And then the other mercenary is fine. So
yeah. Okay. And go for it, Hazra.
Sorry, Hazra wants to ask the guard who did the scout that came back. What happened to your weapon, man?
And he sort of like thinks about it for a while, and then he suddenly realised that it won't look good. And make an insight check, Hazra. Are you coming out from behind your stone, by the way?
I possibly will be.
Because you're a little bit far, unless you're shouting very loudly.
No, I 25 out of 20.
Oh.
Failed, just failed.
Yeah, he sort of like says, I chucked it at them.
Good man.
I chucked and ran.
Were they coming towards us, or were they just staying in the road?
I don't think they saw me until I chucked the spear, and then I just ran.
But did you see them move? Did you look behind you?
I just put my head down and ran, sir.
Oh. And Hazra will turn to Cyrus and say, we could set up a defensive position here like you're doing masterfully, sir. But if they don't come to us, we're just stood here for no reason.
Give it about 5 minutes. If they don't come at us, then we have to go at them.
Ooh.
Maybe use the woods for cover.
Maybe I can get cover in the woods so I don't get attacked.
You can go and hide with the other two mercenaries.
Hazra says, I am a very good tree climber.
Trees are my friend.
They know we're here. They just don't know how many of us are here. So, yeah.
Okay, you sort of like this guy is this guy is awaiting instructions. By the way, he could probably stand somewhere if you want him to stand.
The guy on the far left, you mean?
The guy that was prone. This one here. If you want.
Right, I'm assuming he's a bad throw, right? Because he lost his spear.
He's probably got like his knife or dagger at it, or he's probably got a spare spear in the wagon. He could equip that. Yeah.
Spare spears.
All right, I'm going to have him hold his breath. Take a second to catch his breath, and then protect the merchants behind us.
Okay. Here, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so people up at the front, or all of you, I would like to make you make a perception roll to see when you actually see them. What is the distance between you and them when you actually pick it up? So obviously people who are successful means that you see them further away, if that makes sense. If you fail, they're a lot closer before you actually recognize them, see them coming. Okay, so
where's best?
Yeah, I forgot everybody's.
Oh, sorry, I missed mine.
From the tree.
Hiding behind a tree.
Oh, 88 out of 92.
Okay then, Hengist, you're one of the. Hengist and Cyrus, you don't see them to start off with. It is Hazra and Bartleby that see them. Well, you don't actually see anything. You hear something, and what you hear is a cry from one of the merchants. Okay, and you hear a cry. You also hear a squeal in pain. And remember, so anybody who made the perception roll, you know that this is happening. So this means that you will have an action to start off with before we go into initiative, if that makes sense. So be thinking, Hazra and Bartleby, be thinking about what you're going to be doing. And what you notice, you sort of like hear this behind you, and you turn your head or heads to see it, and you do notice that there seems to be some kind of lizard folk. Bartleby, you recognize them instantly as your fable water goblins as they
so crafty.
As they start to come out of the water. It looks like the squeal was from one of the merchants, and there's only seems to be 3 of them. But one thing you do notice, people who turned around, is that they've seemed to release crossbows. As they almost like came out, they come out the water and fired off their crossbows. They, Bartleby and Hazra, you probably see one of the guild members fall off the wagon with a bolt in their shoulder. A quick gaze, Bartleby, behind. It looks like the other 2 crossbows bolts didn't find a mark, but you can see them sticking out of the wagons. So people who made perception checks, you've got what would you like to do before combat starts? So remember, you can allocate yourself where you want to be. So if you want to be closer, you can get closer or start heading that way before we roll initiative. So yeah, let me know what you're going to do.
And how should we get to the rear of this wagon here?
Well, what you can do is start making your way to there, if that's what you would like to do. Okay. So you sort of like noticing that there's somebody in danger, you start to head that way. So just put yourself next to the wagon and we can see what will actually happen. Is the idea to take cover behind the wagon?
Yes, with the he knows they're going to be reloading and firing again, so he wants to wait for the next volley and then present himself. Got you.
And Bartleby, what would you like to do?
Would I be able to use a prayer spell?
Yeah, is it an actual folk magic or miracle?
Yeah, folk magic.
Yeah, you could do a folk magic. It would be hard pressed to do a miracle this quick, but they're quite snappy folk magic. So yeah, go for it.
I would like to, since Hengist is within range of me, I'm hoping. I went up there to be a part.
Okay, you can touch Hengist.
Touching Hengist as usual. I want to call on Amriel to guide him through this fight.
I often wonder whether or not, do you actually touch him or do you touch his sword?
Yeah,
I've always assumed I'm grabbing his shoulder, or slapping him on the back, or flailing about.
Yeah, you touch his weapon, and yeah, so you can mark that off, Hengist. You will know. Okay then. So next, I need initiative. So please do not forget to click onto your token before you roll, and then you will actually appear in the actual character sheet. Why is my goblin's not working?
Where's initiative? Hold on.
Up near the top.
So around or right above your luck points, there's a little button.
Oh, okay, got it. There you go.
Character. There we go. So all the lizard men will go on their normal. They'll all do the same roll. So I'll only roll their initiative once. They're on 30, and just to let you also know that the only people who are actually capable of fighting, and hence why they're on the map, will be the mercs, okay? Unless anybody wishes to encourage anybody else to actually draw arms and actually fight. So these are the mercs. They're done as barbarians, but that's right. Okay, then let me do some. Oh, look at Hazra.
I know, one away from my best.
Cyrus goes before me.
Cyrus goes before you. Thank you. And lizard folks. Hengist, what are you doing?
Hengist is encumbered by heavy armor.
He's reactive. He's reactive rather than proactive.
Yeah. Okay then. So Hazra, you arrive at the wagon. You do notice now that you are closer. These lizard men appear to have dropped their crossbow bolts. They seem to be carrying what appears to be like short swords. You think they've actually probably had one in each hand, and they've fired off the crossbow bolts and then moving their sword. So what would you like to take any action on 20?
I do indeed, yes. A free action. Is this the guy here that was the scout?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You shout to him, protect me!
I'm going to move to here, but as I'm doing that, I want to point so he sees me and say, go watch the top to see if anything's coming from the north.
Okay then. So you use your free action out to...
I'm guessing he's going to be tired from the run and be no good in a fight. I'm watching up the north.
And when you get to your rock, what's going to be the plan when you get to the rock?
I'm going to wait for any actions from them.
Okay, got you.
I've got my spear in my hand, I've got my scimitar in my belt. I'm just, yeah.
Okay.
It was for cover.
So at 18, this guard starts to run towards the front of the caravan as ordered to check the front. It's interesting that the people here, the guild, there's only 3 of them now because one's slumped down. One of they sort of like look at him going off and saying, "No, come back! Protect us! Protect us!" like this. The rest of the mercs up at the top sort of like are looking round to sort of like ascertain what's actually happening. And Cyrus, you are up on 14.
Okay. So I have a question on one of my folk spells.
Yeah.
One of them is push. Now, the description wasn't very descriptive when it comes to like its capabilities and how.
Is it a folk magic spell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question is, am I able to essentially push a rock towards someone?
Right. So let's have a look.
Post the spell and.
Or shove. Sorry, that's not.
I was going to say I can find polish. If you would like quickly.
I think in the movie.
I would like to borrow him for my cabin.
Shove. Okay then. Instant rage resist. Shoves allows the caster to telekinetically move an object by giving a cruiser. The item is not moved with enough force to inflict damage and is still subject to gravity. The spell affects an amount of encumbrance or skills that living tires can resist. Okay then. So essentially you are going to push something towards what?
So I was thinking...
it will only move it. It won't do any damage or anything like that.
Could I push a boulder to... I'm assuming there's an incline towards the river, correct?
Yeah, so this part... Sorry, let me just get back onto my sticker. This part here is almost like the bank. And so from the river bank up to this point, there's almost like a low mud flat that's slightly inclined that actually comes up to this point. And you can actually, what's your power?
My power is 14.
So you can move something up to size 14. Let me just look at that, because I've got a size with... Well, the average human is 13, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can move something roughly human size and weight.
Got it. All right. So I think boulder would be too large.
Yeah.
All right. And just playing with ideas just in case.
It's all right.
Biggest thing, I'm gonna use my first time ever using some sort of magic.
Cool.
I'm gonna
Disruption.
Rack.
Rack.
Disruption.
Whoa.
Pop your tray with a rack.
Yeah, pop my chair with a rack. I'm going for this guy right here. I'm going full damage on this.
Okay, then. So what you might be aware is that you have some shaping points. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 6 shaping points. Okay, then. So the first thing is, can you put rack in the chat? Have you copied across the spell descriptions?
I put my a smaller version of spell description. I can just copy and paste it if you want me to.
Yeah, there should be a button next to it that you can actually just press it. It will appear. But,
okay.
Right, just while you're doing this, I got it up. So, first things first is that it's going to be your intensity of your spell, which is... your intensity is actually 6. Am I right? Yeah. So your weapon damage will be 1d6. That's the first thing. Now, you have got 6 shaping points. So remember, your range without any modifiers to it, any point of shaping, is touch. Okay, so you would have to put 1 point of shaping to get it to meters times your power. So how much is what's your power?
14.
14. So you would have to put 1 bit of place shaping into there to get it to 14, which that first one will be...
just distance.
Yeah. So therefore, that's absolutely fine. You actually, the next thing that you need to do is, because you are putting 1 point of shaping in it, therefore it's going to take you 2 turns to cast it.
Got it.
So it's always 1 plus your points. So on your first pass on 14, you will be spell casting. Okay, and you're preparing to cast the rack spell, which is absolutely fine. Okay, then. So, Bartleby, you're next up on your 14.
Excuse me. I heard that there were people who were injured, so I'm going to rush over.
It's roughly where that green dot is.
Yeah. From my angle, can I see if they're slumped over in front of the cart? Right, or leaning towards the bank side.
He's actually the guy is. Sorry, let me just go back onto my point. The guy is here where that green dot is, and it looks like he stood up and then took the crossbow bolt in his shoulder, and the impact of it has made him sort of like fall off, and so he's flat on the back, on his back. There.
Well, I think it'll take me a little over 1 action to get to him then. So Bartleby is going to be moving to help him. Okay,
brilliant. 13 lizard folk arrive. They're coming either side of the boulder, Hazra. So which one are you going to actually engage with? Want to be coming this...
Yeah, I'm just seeing who gets me first. The first one gets to me, I will engage. Basically.
Okay, so this one...
See me here.
Yeah, so that one at the top there comes and he engages with you with his sword. This guy goes for the craftsman, and the craftsmen are in disarray and they're jumping all over the place. And this water lizard... water goblin comes to that crate, that wagon as well. Hengist, you're up for 10.
So with Hengist's reaction, no. with his free action, he's going to shout to the guards to say, checks the front of the wagon, train, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then he wants to.
Are you telling the two in the forest as well?
No, he was probably turning to the one that he could see.
Okay, so they'll come up here to protect that. Yeah.
And then he wants to run, so he can run 15. He wants to run as far as he can towards the wagon train where.
So your run is 15. So that's 15 over the whole round.
Oh, over the whole round. Okay.
Yeah.
So he wants to be running towards the call it the crafters, the one that's being attacked.
Okay, got you.
So that's where he's wanting to go, and if possible, he wants to draw his sword at the same time. If not, then he will do
that. That's fine. I'm quite happy for you to draw your sword as you go along. Yeah, so you'll probably get there at the end of this whole round, and then you'll be here. Okay then, so we're back up now. So this is turn 2 of combat round 1. Hazra, you are in combat with a lizard person. What would you like to do?
Indeed, I would like to attack the lizard person.
Yeah, go for it.
So he's going to brace his foot backwards, and he's going to thrust his spear up into this lizard person.
Okay, thrust away.
Oh! now, funny enough, that's not a fumble.
It's not. No, it's not.
Not a fumble. It's a very hard block, though, isn't it?
Yeah, because you have to be, because your skill is over 100, then you only fumble on 100, don't you? You know, so
like a Lee.
why is it? Right. Oh, that is why it's saying. I don't think it adapts. Can you see what I mean?
Oh yeah, with exclamation marks.
Yeah,
it's got an X on the standard roll, hasn't it?
Yeah, which it's not taking into account because that would hit 99 out of 100. That's the best you can actually do. So yeah, so special hit location damage.
Special will be choose Oh, yes, I can do that. Choose location.
Yeah, you can use.
Yes, which will be head.
Hang on, let me just tell. Do you want me to tell you what they've got on? Okay, so they actually have. It appears to be some kind.
Metal helmets.
Yeah, well, they don't seem to be wearing any armor apart from their skin.
Right.
If that makes sense to you, what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay, so I will do choose location head.
Head, brilliant.
And I'll thrust my spear into its brains. Hopefully, please.
Oh, hang on. Just before we go any further, because I need to make a roll, don't I?
Okay, yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, of course I want to.
I thought the water goblin just gave up. It was just such an odd glance. That it's just...
Yeah.
He's got 120.
He misses his attack. His attack is now actually only 62 because the 3 will come off him. But he misses in any case. So misses parry. So I just need head damage from you. A stunning 8.
No, 5.
5, sorry.
Yes.
Okay then. Yeah. You feel that he's got quite tough skin, which you probably expect. It's almost like bumping like an alligator's.
Yeah, I think Hazra's dealt with these before, or he's come across these before.
Yeah.
Or they're very similar to the Batrachians, aren't they?
Yes, very, very. Batrachians are a little bit more squishy than these water goblins. Okay, mercenaries are all busy doing things, following orders. So Cyrus, this will be round 2. Mm-hmm. Of your turn 2 of your cast, and that means at the end of the final turn of casting, your spells go off. Okay, so you need to roll for me an invocation roll.
All right. Come on, baby. Sorry, where are you? Here you are.
Oh, the tension.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Boom. So your spell goes off now. I think I get a resist from it, which is my evade. But tell me, what does this spell look like?
So, first, as I'm casting, my appearance changes completely. I look like a, what's the term? It's kind of like an invert image of myself.
Yeah.
So
Like a negative. Yeah.
Yeah. So my skin turns darker, but my hair turns like it's like a fiery inferno. Including my eyes are turning like all fire and everything, and you see little kind of little lines connect from my core, leading upwards. And then below the lizard person, you're going to see essentially like fire literally coming from the ground.
Yeah.
Like an inferno just blasting up around it. So kind of like a I won't say tornado, but not necessarily.
No, I get it. And this fire sort of like starts appearing, and he gets an evade roll, and he got 44.
Out of that
both your rolls are standard. So he got 44, you got a 34, which means that his score is higher, which means he sees the flames start to move around his feet and moves just slightly, maintaining his combat. I think it is this one that you're casting it at, isn't it? The one that's with Hazra. I don't think the others are in.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, was the other one, the second one's further, is it less than 14 meters from me?
I think you, this was the one that you identified that you were casting.
This one right here. Yeah. I just want to see the other one.
So just so you know, if you're going to roll 20, there's a circle with a line in it. And if you press on that, you can then drag out a measuring tool that will tell you how many meters things are around. Okay, so don't forget to knock off your magic point.
Yes. All right. Can I roll luck for him to?
You can spend a luck point to get me to re-roll if you wish.
Yeah, if you can do that, that'd be great.
How many luck points would that?
That's just one luck point for that.
Yeah, just one. I just want to know how many you got left.
Oh, I should. Doesn't it restarts every session?
Yeah, so you start off with the maximum.
Okay, so I have 2 left.
2 left. Okay, then. So you want me to re-roll my evade?
Yeah.
68 out of 48, which means that he will fail. Okay, then. Nice. So as this flame sort of like comes up around him, so you get you roll a 1d20 for his hit location, and then your intensity of the spell is 6, so it'd be 1d6 worth of damage. So roll a 1d20 first to get his location.
Okay.
And I have a special to hit table. 18. You got him on his right front claw. Arm, so one that's got his weapon in. So now roll a 1d6. Worn weapon does not protect, but natural armor points does reduce damage on your rack spell. So
nice.
Yeah. Okay then. So 3. Okay, yeah, so you fire it off, and this flame, now, as long as you concentrate on your rack spell, it stays up. So, as long as you concentrate now, it will still cause him damage on that hit location. You can, if you wish, even re-roll the 120 to change a hit location if you wish, but it's almost like you've now sort of like stood there, hands outstretched, and this fire is burning around his feet, and flames or tendrils or flames are wrapping around, and you just maintain that now. It's a concentration spell. So it just keeps doing damage until you actually stop it. You can, if you like, say this one dies, as long as you're concentrating, you could then whack it onto another one. You don't need to re-roll. As long as you are concentrating, then this rack spell stays, no matter what.
Does it maintain the same damage?
You always roll for the damage.
Oh, damage. Okay.
Yeah, and if you want to,
could I make an additional, like essentially create another cyclone of fire for another person as long as they're within?
Okay, so what you would have done there is use your shaping points to add. So normally with no shaping points added onto it, your target is 1.
Yeah.
If you put a point or a point of shaping on it, then you can increase it to 2. You can increase it to 3 by putting 2 shaping points on it. But remember, each point you spend gets added to 1 for your number of turns. So you only adjusted the range. So it's a turn plus a turn. So if you wanted to say, if you put, you could have put 2 points into range, which is then your power times 5. Okay, so you put 2 on there. If you then increase the number of targets to 3 targets, that's another 2 shaping points, which would bring it up to 4. Yeah. So it would take you, it would be a wonderful spell, but it would take you 5. It's 4 plus 1. Everyone is 1 to start off with. So you'll still be summoning up wild magic as everybody's fighting, and then also you go, oh, right.
I'll just focus on this for a bit, and then if he goes down,
you can reassign it. Yeah, Bartleby, you're on 14 as well.
At the start of last turn, I measured it out, and I'm 6.3 meters away from the green dot. I traveled 6 meters, so
I'm quite happy for you to be there. What's a meter between friends?
That's what I was hoping.
A chance of COVID.
Yeah. You had to do that, Medivac. You had to say that one word that was
I know, sorry.
What would you like to do, Bartleby, as you get towards this merchant? The merchant has a bolt in his left shoulder. He's bleeding quite profusely from it. And he also seems to be shaking and crying and muttering. And as you get closer, he said, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going.
Would I need to roll a healing skill check to decide if this is a major wound or a minor wound?
If you want to see what kind of wound it is, then yes. Or you can just roll a healing, or you can just go with one that you think.
I think it's a major wound.
If it's a major wound, then his arm would be incapacitated. It would be falling off. Major wounds are killers. So if this had hit him in the chest and it was a major wound, he would be unconscious.
I'm confusing major wounds with serious wounds again.
It's round the other way. It took me ages to work it out, right in my head.
I'm still confused.
So it's minor above 0. 0 to negative your hit points is a serious wound, and then below negative hit points is a major wound.
That's right. I can't do a whole lot for major wounds, but I'm going to guess that this is actually a minor wound.
Okay.
And I'm going to kneel to him, put my hands near his wound, and say, Amriel will save you, as I cast my prayer, and here's my roll.
Oh yes, folk magic spell comes off, and she definitely does. Yeah, and you managed to stop the bleeding. I'm wondering what happens to the bolt. What would you like the bolt to do? I did think about, how when Wolverine gets shot in the head, and he heals himself, and it pops out. It pops out. What's going to happen with the bolt as you heal him?
I like to imagine that it's sort of incinerates almost into a strange, mysterious light, and it just dematerializes, and the parts of the bolt that aren't in the wound or touching flesh just kind of crumble off.
Yeah, nice. And that would be really good next time, somebody says, save the bolt, Bartleby. Sorry.
We don't have any archers in this squad for a reason.
Fantastic. Lizard folk. Hazard, the one opposite you has used up its action, so it's not attacking, and the other two seem to be fighting. The craftspeople have jumped off Hengist. They're sort of like past you at the moment. But one thing you do notice as you're moving towards it, the lizard men seem to be more interested in the goods rather than the craftspeople. The craftspeople are sort of like passing you as they run towards you. You'll get. What's your? How far have you travelled so far?
So Hengist can run up to 15.
How many actions does he have?
Hengist has 3 actions.
So each action is going to be roughly running 5 meters, isn't it? Yeah. So this is action 2. So just go it out to 10. So you'll be here, and then at your next action you'll be up. So we're going into combat turn 3 to anybody who's got 3 actions around. Okay, because nobody's parried or anything like that. Hazra, do you still have an action to go?
Why, yes, sir, I do.
Okay, whack away then.
I will whack away. Hazra's seen his flames appear, and it's seen the flames grab onto this lizard's arm, and he's seen what Gulliver's done before in the past.
I forgot about this. Yeah.
But this is he's been like a globule of water that's just done things.
He does, yeah.
But this is now fire.
Fire.
A little bit concerned, to say the least. So
there's a nice sizzle as well, by the way.
Hazard takes a step back, and that's his turn.
Are you disengaging?
I'm just gonna. Yes, I'm.
Okay, so if you
I'm literally just stepping back.
Yeah. So if you want to disengage, then you need to make a evade roll, isn't it? You don't actually evade yourself. I don't
want to fall on the floor, though.
No, it's not for that. It's just to see whether or not you can disengage or not.
Right. No, I can't. So
no.
Just a step back and then a step forward. And it's like,
yeah. Or you take a step back and the lizard sort of like follows you as it goes around. Yeah. Barbarians are all done. Cyrus, do you have any more action points?
Yeah, I have one more.
Okay then. So
I have 3. I'll go. So
yeah. So you can roll. You can either keep the spell on his right arm and roll a 1d6, or you can swap it to somewhere else and roll a d20, then do a 1d6. It's up to you.
I'm gonna swap it for something else.
Okay then. So roll a 1d20. Hope it's its tail. I just think that would be so funny.
All right. Let's see.
Oh my god! What's
tail?
No, it's not. Its tail is 1 to 3.
At the end.
Yeah. So 10 is its abdomen. So do some damage for me.
Come on, baby.
You've got the tail, little like
4.
Charizard.
4 it's not bad. It's not 1. So that's good.
Okay, yeah, and you notice, you sort of like, I often imagine the rack spell is almost like, in the rule book it talks about tendrils of power, and I often think it's a case that sorcerers go, wow, send it out, it attacks something, and then if they wish to relocate it, they almost like bring it back and then fling it out.
Like a whip?
Yeah, or like just like tendrils or something like that. And then if you're sort of like keeping it in one place, your hands just sort of like stay there.
Like the Emperor.
Yes, exactly. This idea of lightning. So that's brilliant. Okay, then that's Cyrus done. Bartleby, what would you like to do?
I am the.
It was a minor wound, by the way. You don't.
Excellent. I'm the token 2 action point.
Okay,
player
then.
here,
So
I'm just enjoying the moment. I finished my spell probably at this point in healing the minor wound.
yeah, and Hengist, you still got. Where would you like to move to? Yeah.
If you can, Hengist wants to arrive at the front of the riverside of the cart, so it's all right in combat range there.
Okay. Quite happy with that. Right, so we're going back up to the top of round 2. Combat turn 1, so Hazra, you're up on 20.
Hazra will take a quick glance at Cyrus and hopefully notice that he's doing this.
He's aglow. You look up and he's this fiery hair, so it's a bit like Jean Grey when she's turned into the
and he'll put 2 and 2 together and then he'll
run. Do it outside.
Not this again. Screw you, I'm going home. No, he will take a thrust with his
spear. Thrust away. Oh, that's nice. Right, let's see if he can parry it. 20, he does parry it, but you... how big's your weapon?
Well,
it's medium. It's medium, yeah, and his sword. So anything that's within 1 difference, there's no change with. It's anything. I just had a thought. Cyrus, where did you leave your glaive, by the way? Because
it was on the ground.
Yeah.
You just drop on the ground.
You just notice also when you're doing all this, and you look down and there's this lizard man hand that's grabbing it and slowly walking off. It's my precious. It is my glaive now.
I would focus every magic escaping everything. I would just destroy it. How dare you? How dare you touch me?
I said that once about a spear than a bird.
Yeah, that you took to a wyvern. Yeah, and I didn't even make you chuck it. Can I just say that?
Yeah,
it was all his decision. Barbarians, I don't think there's anything that the guards actually need to do at all, because they're just protecting, so that's fine. So Cyrus, we're up to you on 14. So you can either continue doing damage of the abdomen or pull it back and whip it out again and go for a different hit location. It's up to you.
No, I'll stick with the abdomen and
okay then, so yeah, so do a 1d6 for me.
Come on, baby.
Ouch.
Ooh.
But yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of sizzling round his round this lizard man's abdomen. Hazra, you can smell it as some of the flames are actually getting through his natural armor and sort of like started to sort of like jumble up his remains and burns them. Yeah. Brilliant. Bartleby, you're up. Bartleby's going to burst into action. He's going to draw his club. It's either a club or a candle.
I have a dagger as well. I could pull. Well, my question is, of these water goblins, which ones do I have like eyesight with?
So you can definitely see. No, you can definitely see Hazra's.
Yeah.
Heal this one.
You can see. You can't see the one in front of Hengist, but you can see this one because he's climbed onto the wagon and is busy hurtling things off left, right, and center.
In that case, I'd like to focus my eyes on that one, throwing the things off. I would like to pray for Amriel and Maroth to punish the sinners, if that's all right.
Yeah, is it in range?
85 meters.
Oh yeah, easily. You can do somebody on the other end side of the continent. Don't you? Poor Cyrus. Poor Cyrus is saying, "God, I've got to spend out 5 magic shaping points to get that sort of range." Yeah, roll away.
Could I use a point of luck to make that a 69?
You certainly can. That's not a problem at all.
Nice.
You get an evade though,
I get
based on that 69.
Okay. Ooh, evade, and I don't need to expend a point. What is? Oh, what?
Shut the fuck door.
What did you get? 69.
69 is my number.
you win.
It's just yeah, it's a shame.
In which case,
Yeah, it's just a shame for me, Hazra.
This is the body part that's being stunned.
Okay, let me just call his up.
For a 7.
That is his leg.
For 2 turns. Somebody's gonna fall on their face.
Yeah, and so he's sort of like it just it numbs it, doesn't it?
Stunned. So I would presume he'd have a hard time running.
It's stunned, so it means that his leg will cave in. I'm just going to, because it's stunned, so it'll give way. I'm just going to roll his athletics to see whether or not he can stay on the wagon. And the answer to that is yes, he can. So it goes down, and he sort of like collapses down. So he's down on the wagon, but he's still on the wagon. Lizard folk. The one in front of you, Hazra, will use his last action point to whack you.
Will parry.
Wait for it, he might miss. He missed.
Oh, I'll still parry.
Oh, yeah, you can do if you wish.
Seeing it swinging towards him, he'll parry, and he will get a 13.
Yeah, that's nice. So you got one defensive special.
And which one was a really nice one?
While you're thinking about that,
yes, please.
The one in front of you, Hengist, whacks you with a sword because you're in range now. He misjudges it slightly and swings too early. Do you wish to take a defensive action, or
This will also attempt to parry.
Yeah, go for it.
So for this combat, he'll be using his sword in a two-handed way.
Yeah, parry
So I
away.
need to say it again. So he gets a 37 on a 7.
Yeah, so I need your special.
Okay. Special will be overextend opponent.
Okay.
That's what I was going for. Thank you.
Are you both going to
Yes.
overextend?
I couldn't see the front page. I thought, where is it? The second page.
So that means I often get overextend messed up with press advantage.
Yeah, you can't attack next turn.
What's press advantage then?
Same thing, but that's an attacking one, isn't it?
Defender cannot attack in the next turn.
And press advantage is on the offensive, but it's exactly the same.
It's on the defensive.
Yeah, so they can't. Yeah. So overextend is the way I visualize it is they've attacked you and you've either done a side step or a step slightly out of range, so that's
exactly what.
Too much. Yeah.
That's exactly what it says on the card. Overextend opponent. You sidestep.
Logical. Yeah, and then press advantage. You're forcing them backwards.
Yeah, you're going to hell bent on them.
Okay, then. So both of them cannot attack you on their next turn. So and Hengist, it's your attack now if you wish.
So then Hengist, after overextending his opponent, will immediately follow up with two-handed swing of his sword, which he gets a 57 and 73 standard.
Okay. So I can defend against that, can't I? Yeah, I just can't attack. But defend. Oh, yeah. He defends. Yeah, it's all right. Nobody saw you, Hengist. Everybody else is busy. How big's your weapon?
Mine is a medium.
Hazra every time.
Oh wait, no, it's not because I'm using it two-handed.
Two-handed,
It's
yours is engorged.
oh. It's a child-friendly stream, Hazra.
Sorry.
Or family-friendly, should I say? So
Like a ripe strawberry.
using it two-handed.
We're a Manson family show.
I just need to get my table up. Here we go. No, that's not it. I think medium does. I'm trying to find my table that has how much damage is blocked when we parry. So yours is now a large weapon.
It is, yeah.
So his is a medium, so that's fine. We're not in reaching rules, yet. Defending is a medium, large. So I will actually stop half the damage. So you need to do hit location. You still need to do a special hit location and damage.
So special will be bleed.
Oh,
Okay.
Hit location is chest.
Okay.
And then you'll take
nice.
half of this. You take 5 damage.
5 damage to my chest. Excellent.
Thanks to the
3.
power of Amriel.
Two-handed is so the way forward.
Wait, it's normally a 1d10, but because of blade sharp, it's now a 2d6
Yeah.
plus damage modifier
Blade
of
sharp.
1d2.
Right. That's Hengist done. So we're up to the top now again for turn 2. Hazra, you're up.
Yeah, I'm going to thrust, even though Hazra has just realised his overextended opponent on somebody who has no action points, but he didn't know that. So.
No, exactly. Thrust away.
I will thrust away.
Yeah.
That's a hit 85 out of 103. Would you like to parry?
No. Strangely enough, I've used up all my action points. Hang on a minute. Hang on.
Sorry. Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
How many times do I say special hit location damage?
Yeah. Choose location head, and it's going to be 6 damage. Do you want me to roll it again? Sorry.
What are you choosing location?
Yeah.
And then you choose location is your head, and then 6 points of damage to my head. Okay. Then.
Yes.
Let me have a look.
Unless you want to re-roll it.
No.
No.
You can go 6 points. I get it. Yeah. Yeah, it goes in a bit through its armor, but it still looks. It doesn't look like it. Yours looks like it's got little wounds all over the place.
It's like my grandma's pincushion.
Yeah, if everybody focused onto one part, it would probably be down a light bound by now.
We don't do that.
No. Cyrus, you're up with your rack spell. Do you wish to relocate it, or do you wish to just do damage? I think you're on its abdomen at the moment.
Yeah. No, I keep location. Yeah, I'll just keep location and just go out for damage.
Go for it. 1d6 then. 3. Okay, then. That's not so good. That's stopped by its armor. Its natural armor. But 14. Bartleby, you're on 14.
If Bartleby doesn't have his club drawn, that's what he'd like to do. If he does have it drawn, he's moving around the cart to get closer to the combat.
So show me where you would like to be.
Probably about right there.
What's your normal movement?
6 meters.
That's for the whole minute, so 3 meters per, won't it? Is that 6 running?
No, 6 walking.
And
My running is a 16.
Right, so you.
I was just moving out there to.
Yeah, you can move out
approach.
there, and then that's fine. Lizard folk can't do anything. Yours is out of action, and Hengist, yours can only defend. And so we're with you, Hengist, on 10.
So Hengist is going to attack. Two-handed sword. Gets a 31 on a 73 standard.
Now, this one does have a point, an action point to use, so he can. But no, he.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Oh, hang on. This is the one that's got some luck, hasn't it? I could reverse. No, I'm not going to. Maybe later on in today's adventure, and the next adventure. So you've. He's missed its parry, so I need special hit location damage.
So special will be choose location chest.
Mm.
And then damage.
6 goes
not
down to
great,
3. That's all right. He needs to make an endurance check. Which he fails. So he actually has now a serious wound in there, and he's failed. He's failed his endurance, and so he's drops unconscious. He's out. You can finish him off now. Then, well done, Hengist.
Nice.
You took this one down all by yourself. There's Cyrus and Hazra still fighting this lizard. It'll be coming in dark, and they say, "We've got it. We've got it."
You know what? Cooking a lizardman slowly.
Slow cooker.
Toying with your prey.
Okay, then we are going back up. We're still turn 2, round 2, but we're up to turn 3. So, Hazra, do you have any actions
No,
left?
because I parried.
Okay then, Barbarian's all right. Cyrus, do you have any actions left?
Yeah, I'm gonna continue my attack on his abdomen.
Abdomen. Do your 1d6 then. Ooh!
So, Daddy.
That goes down to 3. There's a lot of sizzling around his abdomen, but he's still up. Bartleby, you don't have any.
No, I don't.
Hengist, do you have any?
Nope, Hengist doesn't.
Okay then, so we're coming to the start of round 3. So 2 pointers. You need to roll endurance. I think you're 2 as well, Cyrus. So just roll an endurance because fatigue is hitting in. Well, Bartleby's very fatigued unless he wants to swap.
I would like to use my last point of luck.
Oh, yes. We are going till 11 tonight, can I just say?
Finishing the scene.
Yeah, so you're fine.
I'm going to use my point of luck
to re-roll, yeah.
Come on.
No. So
it's such a hard one.
Your endurance is only 18.
Yeah, I couldn't put any points into it.
Not Bartleby.
So in your character sheet, there should be an area that says fatigue. And then current level will be fresh. You need to open that and put winded, which is the next one down. You got that?
Okay.
So that's it, isn't it? Yeah. Nobody else needs to roll it. So Hazra, go for it.
Hazra is getting a little bit.
Come on, just kill it.
So there we go.
Stop trying to kill it and kill it.
87 out of 103. Would you like to parry, sir?
Yes, I will always parry. I can attack this round as well, can't I?
You can.
Let's see what I can do attack-wise. No, I fail. You
were so close.
Yeah, really close. Special hit location and damage.
Choose location, abdomen.
Oh, we got a coordinated attack.
Well, the thing is, Hazard's been looking at it and he can see the smelling and the burning from this stomach of this lizard.
And he's not really attacking it, he's just poking it. Just trying to put a kebab through it.
Nice shish kebab.
Shish kebab. And here we go. 7
Ooh,
points of damage.
That is nice. That's 4. What was your original roll?
87.
87. So I need to make my endurance roll. Yeah, he fails that. So you sort of like stick your spear into him, and he sort of like coughs up blood and everything, and
Smoke.
it smokes a bit. And then as you hold it, and you can see Cyrus, you can see the spear coming out the back of him, and then Hazard just like lowers his spear gently, and the lizardman just like slides off it and pops onto the floor. And I think, there's one more lizard man.
One that's had a dead leg for 2 turns.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can probably, he's rolled off the wagon, is actually behind, and he's trying to struggle back to the water, but you can quite easily stop him and dispose of him. Okay, so yeah, well done. Lizard, water goblins dealt with.
That's 2 for 0. Lizard for party versus lizard.
Did somebody put a red cross on the?
I wanted to make it official.
Okay, question. Just before we finish the session, you got 3 hours. Good combat that was. Got right near. Cyrus, you sort of like bring in your rack spell and finish it, and you notice that his fiery hair slowly subsides through an amber glow back to normal. And yeah, so what I would like to know is, how would you like to start next week's adventure? So would you like everybody back in line? Would you like to be in a defensive position because of the bandits approaching from in front of you? Do you want to go back to how you were? If you can organize yourselves for that, for whatever you wish to do, and then that is where we will start next week's session. So what's going to be the plan?
Hazra's personal opinion would be to reset up again to protect from the north, because that was his worry. We'd attack from the side, which could be random, it could be linked. He doesn't know.
Okay.
But we should send a scout out north again, just to, even if the scout goes through the forest and keeps the edge to the road.
Okay, yeah. So we can have one of the scouts. I'll put him over here in the water so we know that he's going through the forest to see what he can find. You got 2 guards in the bushes over here. Where would the rest of you like to? You got 1 guard that was up here protecting you, Cyrus. Where would you all like to be at the start of the next session?
Would it almost make sense to essentially, instead of having every group be in their own little like professional little entourage, why don't we have the mercenaries like eat a 1 per each carriage?
Yeah,
so is able to protect.
That would be a really good. They can walk next to the carriage if they wish. So you can do that once you set off, and one of the mercs would have to drive the front wagon unless somebody's going to do that for them, but they're quite happy. So once you set off again, if you want to organize yourselves ready to set off, then that's how the next session will begin. Or do you want to set up ready for an attack from the north?
Well, this is why I want to send a scout up north first to see if anything's coming.
Yeah, so he will go, but he will scout up north. So where do you want to be when we start the next? We can just leave you where you are at the moment.
I want to be over here. It's my rock.
Okay, then.
What time of the day is it?
It's about 2:00 in the afternoon, 2-3.
Okay.
You should, I think, Cyrus, if you're feeling tired, I think you should have a rest.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe take a rest on Just lay down on one of the carriages.
Or underneath one?
Or underneath one.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about sunstroke.
Yeah. Right.
It-
But yeah, dangerous. Yeah, I'll take a quick nap under.
Yes.
One of them,
So you're underneath this wagon now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you wait till the horse is spooked. Cyrus wakes up with this tired. Bartleby and Hengist, where would you like? And Bartleby, just to let you know, the guild is extremely gracious and courteous to you, and grateful that you actually protected and healed one of their members, and they make snide comments about, you were the only person who actually protected them, despite being somebody who champions the poor. You stepped up. So where would you like to be? They offer you a ride on the wagon, by the way.
Well, I graciously accept their compliments, but Bartleby needs to attend to all of the people, and his goal is to go to see the craftsmen and make sure they're doing all right and help load that up.
Okay. So you'll be down
if
here.
we're not moving forward, then that's where Bartleby would be, is hanging around them.
Brilliant. And Hengist, where would you like to be?
Somewhere else.
Hengist would like to be back in Lindowe. No. Hengist is going to be, I think, up towards the front, but he's going to ask one of the guards the guard that's next to him. He's going to ask to sort of like stand in the middle, like around here.
Okay, he can do that.
Men.
Yeah.
Not the
Water goblins.
Water goblins. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just in case the water goblins come back, then at least we've got a little bit of cover.
Okay, so that seems to be a perfect setup to start off next week's session, when the attack from the north that your scout came back and warned you about can take place. Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed tonight's session. A nice bit of combat. We see that lovely rack spell coming off from Cyrus. We see Cyrus in action for the first time. Some nice thrusting and beating by the fighters, and Bartleby, just that stoic healer, is always there to do the right thing. But the question is, have you got any further along your thinking about the Lonesome Bridge incident? What about all those things that try to delay you from leaving Lindowe? How did they fit in to the actual discussion here, the adventure? And more importantly, what will you actually find when you arrive at the site in the next session? You'll just have to wait and see. Okay, thank you so much for coming along, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's adventures, players, and we'll definitely continue along the same road next week. So, bye. Say bye. Just say bye for the recording. Yeah.